right, for a point of discussion today, I get this daily Enneagram email, and this was one of the things that I received recently. I'll read it to you. It's basically the 3 points. But I want to discuss them because it raises questions with me. What does this mean and why? Right? And so that's what I was thinking about. Why are they saying these things? So here's what the email said. One way to work on yourself is by being present in the body. Another way is by expanding the heart. A third way is by quieting the mind. The wise person finds a way to work on all 3 at the same time. So the 3 things: be present in the body, expand the heart, quiet the mind, and try and work on all 3. So, thoughts, questions?
That's the 3 quadrants on the Enneagram too. The body would be the gut, and then the heart would be the feeling, and then the thinking. So
Right.
It's really good.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't even think about that aspect. I was just taking it as a recommendation.
Well, what does being present mean?
Well, that's the one I have the hardest trouble with.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, okay, quiet the mind. I get that. My mind's racing. I need to try and quiet it. Expand the heart. Well, I assume that means become more compassionate, work on being more loving. As Jesus would say, love your enemies, expand the realm of your love to include more. But the one that I was wondering about, but I've seen a lot of things about it, is be present in the body. And that's really the one I was like, okay, what's the point here? I don't get it.
I do have something to add to that.
Okay?
2 weeks ago, I started physical therapy, and from a minor injury I had in August. But it was also looking back to me falling off a ladder last year. There's some things that are still not working right since I did that. So going into a therapist twice a day has changed my life. Twice a week, I mean. It's just because I'm waking my body. I usually don't keep my body awake. It's usually kind of in the background somewhere. But when he makes me do those exercises and warm up and do all that, it's just really good for me. I can tell it's good for
So
me.
being attentive to something about your physical body is helpful. Yeah? Daryl?
I may have been when I first saw that, my thinking was it's about being aware, being mentally aware, not off in some, being cognizant of moment by moment living. I don't know if that would be it or not, but it just was the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah. Bob?
I think it's even deeper than that. I think it's like Shakespeare said, to know thyself.
Yeah. So, and I think, what you're both saying is kind of what I started thinking about is like, what's the point here? Be present in your body. Like, I'm thinking, I don't have a problem doing it. I am present in my body. Huh?
Inevitable, right?
Yeah, it's like, well, of course I'm present in my body. Where else would I be? But then I started thinking kind of like Daryl was suggesting is, but often in my mind, I'm not where I actually am. I'm somewhere else. I'm not present here, now. Right? I'm off in the future. I'm off in the past. I'm thinking about things that have happened or that might happen, which I'm not present with my body because my body is here in the now. But my mind, myself is kind of not grounded in what is actually going on with me. So if it's like that, and like Bob's saying, it's about self-knowledge. Because it's interesting, it's the first one that was suggested in the email, which I find to be the most, confusing initially. What does that mean?
So I asked myself, well, what would not present in the body mean? And then what came to mind was my early days with Laura, and I'm used to having my phone sitting in front of me, and my Apple Watch beeping and making noise. And I have been trained by Laura to turn the phone down, to take off my watch when we're having conversations, to not be distracted by that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so present in the body could be taken as just being present in this moment.
Yeah.
Because, again, that's where I actually am. But am I present? So maybe it's less about like the physicality of it, because that's where I was confused. What does it mean, present in the body? Oh, that's where I am. Where else would I be? But it has more perhaps to do with a kind of intentional focus, a kind of living in the moment. Now,
Or not the other stuff.
Right.
Not the
not just,
chatter like in the scripture today, right? All the senseless chatter about words and what this stuff means.
yeah. John David?
So, one thing that's coming to my mind is the Shema. You know,
Mhm.
hear, O Israel, love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your mind, with all of your soul, and then I think it's Matthew that adds on later, might or wholeness. Essentially, it's kind of hard to translate, but might is the way they sometimes do it.
Might, M-I-G.
M-I-G-H-T.
Yeah, or strength. I've seen it translated
Strength.
strength, but it's more of a bodily thing. You
Yes,
think of it, it's like love God with your strength,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, with your beingness or something.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes back to this idea. We took I took this one course I was required to take it in school, and it was on how to develop some spiritual discipline so that you might begin to hear God well, hear God particularly around your calling. And one of the first exercises that he made us do as a class is we had to, go to a quiet place, physically lay in a somewhat comfortable spot on the ground, and spend 30 minutes to an hour praying over your body. And one of the elements of that exercise was to try to really listen to things that your body might be saying, like, maybe I shouldn't have eaten that last night, or my back is actually hurting and I didn't recognize that my back was hurting, or, I need to start doing some more exercises that will help strengthen my shoulder because it's sore, or it's those types of activities, but it's a genuine prayer from top to bottom. And that really helped me be present
Mhm.
in my own body.
When Wesley did his exercise last week, he started with the feet. Sit down in a chair and start with your feet.
Hmm.
And then go up.
Right. Yeah. So back to Bob's comment, there's a real element of self-awareness, because I can be just running along in life, ignoring all these things, right? Not paying much attention to my body and what's going on. So, it is a kind of knowing oneself well. And I like your connection, because one of the things I want to ask is, so does Jesus say anything like this? Well, love the Lord your God with all your strength. Yeah, that part would be, oh, that's a bodily sort of reference.
What about when it said he grew in wisdom, stature, favor with God?
God and man.
I don't know whether that's body or whether that's more in character.
Well, I think it's kind of bodily, because the wisdom is more like the understanding, the insight, but the stature is more like the reference to he grew up, he got taller, he filled out, so you've got Jesus grew in wisdom and stature, a kind of bodily sense.
I'm still a little confused though why we're framing it as body, if what we're really describing to me sounds like the mind. We're trying to put our mind in our body.
This is true.
But our mind doesn't
Makes me
exist
think
just
I'm
between our ears though, right? It's our limbs, it's everything, right?
Yeah, and you're exactly right. So John Bear, Father John Bear was talking about fasting, and he says the fasting is not about the body, it's about the mind. And so his example he gives to his seminary students when they show up, is like, how many of you think you can't do anything until you take that first cup of coffee in the morning?
You want hands?
Not me.
Yeah. But his point was, if you fast, guess what? Your mind will find out. You actually can do something without having that cup of coffee. It's like your mind is, so, it's the mind, it's the body, but it's also addressing the mind, because fasting, he said, is not about disciplining the body, it's about disciplining the mind. It's you realizing you don't have to have everything you think you have to have. And I thought that was just a great point. But it's like it's what you're saying. In some ways, being present in the body is, where is my mind? Am I running off about the future? Am I dwelling in the past? But if I'm present in my body, it's here right now.
Dealing with the mind in quiet time with me is just dealing with the ego, is what you have to wrestle with most of the time.
Yeah, for sure.
They are all one thing, right? They're integrated. And so maybe that what I'm hanging up on is nonsense. They're,
You can't have one without the other.
could this all be one? Yeah, these are different aspects of one entity, and each of these points is encouraging me to integrate them better.
Right. So that, the end of the statement is, the wise person finds a way to work on all three at the same time.
Balance.
Which might be the point, is they're not discrete. They're not separate. Because being present in my body has a lot to do with my mind and where it
And your heart.
is focused.
Is
Right.
the heart the soul?
Is the heart the soul?
All of it's the soul.
Yeah. So now we get down to definition. The definition I like for soul it's kind of the Hebrew definition. So in Genesis, it says, God breathes into Adam the breath of life, and he became a living soul. And so that's the way Dallas Willard takes soul as well. He says, you don't have a soul, you are a soul, you have a body. Right? So I think of being a living soul is the integration of all of it. It's mind, emotion, experiences, all of that together combined. It's I am a living soul. Where I was kind of taught growing up that a soul was an eternal spark that I dare not lose. Like, I didn't know where it was, but I was told I had one, and I better not lose that sucker. Because, you'll lose your soul. But it was like something was in me, but I had no connection with it other than it was precious and I didn't want to lose it.
Isn't that a Greek orientation?
Which one?
The soul separate from the body?
I don't know, because the Greek word that we're translating soul is psyche. which in English is psychology, and it's more the mind. That's the word that we're translating soul.
And Paul said this, something about a double-edged sword that separates spirit and soul. That's one of the things I think that's what he says. I don't know what that means actually, but
Well, if we're all soul, then this has to do with the soul, because I do have a body. I am not a body. I have a body. I am a soul, but I have a body. That's where I'm presently experiencing everything, is in a body. So if all of this is the soul, it is the mind, and there's more. I think you could include everything as a part of the soul, everything that you are, your past experiences, your emotions, all of it, all that comprises you, that's part of your soul. That's who you are. And we even use it that way in English when we say, a ship sank with 70 souls on board. What do we mean? People, real living people died on the ship. We didn't mean some little spark of theirs somehow was on the ship.
Except for two of them that already lost their souls several.
Yeah. So, in some ways to work on yourself is ways to work on your soul, who you are, the being you are. And And there's where we can start looking at parts of it. Well, part of it's the mind, part of it's the heart, the source of my affections, what it is that I desire. But we could break out more, because I think of the spirit, and this is along with Dallas Willard, the human spirit is that with which we will. And that comes from Jesus' statement to his sleeping disciples. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. It identifies that the spirit is that component of me with which I determine something. I will to do something. I make a choice, right? And the idea is that if my spirit is aligned with the Spirit of God, then I will the will of God, because the Spirit of God is communicating to me the will of God, and I need to will the will of God, right? But if my spirit is not connected to the Spirit of God, then I'm willing whatever Greg wants, right? So you could add in, spirit as focusing the will or something. Work on yourself by examining and focusing the will. What is it that you desire? What is it that you're after?
So would you equate spirit to superego, or any of these terms like that, ego? Is it the integration of these things that's equated to mind?
Maybe in some respects like the superego, because that's kind of a sense of oughtness.
Frontal lobe sort of stuff.
Yeah.
The control.
But I don't know that these terms will match up, with the psychological kind of terms necessarily. Yeah, John Dave?
I did an exercise on this for about 3 months, where I was trying to develop the anatomy of a being and all the different elements of what constitutes the human. It is very difficult to do one-for-ones on all of this stuff,
Right.
particularly when you're using scripture, because it's very nebulous in some scriptures rather than others. Some
Right.
are much more concrete. But one thing you mentioned about spirit, I just wanted to remind folks that there's a call in Paul to be renewed in the spirit of your mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, again, just trying to distinguish and parse out what each of these are and what constitutes the anatomy of the being is so difficult.
Right.
Because in one sense, the mind also has its own spirit.
Yeah. And just like the body has its own will,
Yeah.
which Paul would call the flesh. It's got its own desires, and you better rein that thing in, because if you follow the desires of your flesh, it'll be just after every low level want out there, and somehow you have to, as again Dallas Willard says, the body makes a great servant but a lousy master. Don't let your body be your master. Make it your servant.
Your
Right.
caption says ways to work on yourself, and I don't think that the only way you would do that is being in God anyway, right?
Right.
That's part of the Trinity, how they work together, you're part of that, and even your love toward other people. All of how that works together is how you would work on yourself. Does that sort of make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Derek's point is well taken, is we can't say these are three distinct, unrelated things. No, the point is we are a single living being, and there's some value in saying, well, how about if I tease out some of the aspects? But like John David's saying, you can't make a full-on analysis where everything's discrete, because it overlaps.
This word of the Lord, sharper than a two-edged sword, it separates that bone from marrow. You can't really separate bone from marrow. I mean, it's that integration.
Right.
It's a metaphor.
Yeah, it's a metaphor. Right. So there's value. There's value here, but then I think we're wise in saying these overlap. Yes, they're integrated. Yes, they're not three separate things. And I think that's why the saying says, the wise person finds a way to work on all three at the same time. Like when you're wise, you realize, oh, these are integrated. I can't just I'm going to work at being present in the body. That's got nothing to do with quieting the mind. Oh yeah, it does. Because the reason often I'm not present in the body is my mind's not quieted. It's running around everywhere except for where I actually am. Okay, Carolyn, you had something?
Yes. I am in awe. I'm gonna try to say this without tears. I'm in awe of God and what He's doing for children. It is amazing. Neither of us none of us would wish for disease. But I can say, in the beginning stages, I was none of these when I first found out. I was
Right.
all over the board, and I was worried about the future. It was all about the future, never about the present. God led me to a support group. In that support group, I have learned more, and I'm not all there. It's a daily process, every day, to quiet the mind when I first wake up in the morning. In the stillness and the darkness, and to give thanks. First thing. And to listen for God's word. Sometimes I hear it, sometimes I don't, and sometimes I question, is that my ego?
Yeah.
Or is that God leading me? In the support group, I have learned about expanding my heart. To look at this disease as a gift. It's a gift because at times I hear God speaking through John. It's a gift because it's taught me who I am, who I want to be more like Jesus. It's taught me to live more day by day. Not in the future, not in the past, day by day. And when I find my mind not being quiet because of all this craziness around us, I have to stop and I say, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He's got this. No one can separate Joe or me from our Lord. Whatever happens. And like I said, I'm in awe.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Right. Very, very well said. Very, thank
We
you.
benefit from it, right? We benefit from walking through that in our little way, just you sharing that.
Mm.
I've heard addicts say that they're grateful for their addiction, which is just crazy sounding. But it brought them to a place where they knew they needed help.
Right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're not grateful for all the heartache and stuff that it brought, but it's like, how could I not be grateful for the path I came down if that path has led me to a better place? Then I have to be grateful for all of it, good, bad, and indifferent, and all the messy parts, and the good, the bad, and the ugly. I mean, I can't say, well, I just want to extract those parts out of my story and just want to arrive here without that. It's the path I came down, right?
They have taught me and the others in the group to enter Joe's world where he is. We don't argue, reason, or explain. I don't argue, reason, or explain anything. Joe is always right.
I agree.
And
I don't know where I am, but I'm always right.
And I think I live in one of the most peaceful places on earth.
Yeah. That could be a very good recipe for anyone who's not experiencing peace. Is what if we were to let go of our desire to be right, to be correct, to, and just to control someone said, let it kind of go. Okay, Bob, you had something?
That reminds me of a character, I forget their name, in the Brothers Karamazov. That was always mischievous, not well liked, self-destructive, and just obviously somebody that was not headed to a good place. But this was a long time ago. The book was written, and so people, when they got certain illnesses, they basically succumbed to them. That would be more treatable today. And this person was aware that that was happening to them and how it molded and shaped their life, and they became the absolute opposite for the remaining days that they had. And you can see such things, if you're observant at all, that occur on a not too infrequent basis.
Yeah. What do I do with what happens? What do
Or
I
as
do?
you used to say, how can I learn from this?
Yeah, how can I learn from? And what will I become as a result? Because there's often two options. Become bitter and angry and, why did this have to happen? Or I can just say, this is what's happening, and how can I live into it for what it is at the moment? Yeah.
I've seen it so many times that people that are born with some birth defect, in fact, the ones that strike me the most are like conjoined twins, and they ask, if you could, would you separate from your twin? And the answer is always no, because it's what made them. That's how they got where they are.
Yeah, which to the rest of us seems like, well, how could you be at peace with your situation? But then someone else could look at me and say, how can you, Greg, be at peace with your situation? Mm-hmm. And hopefully I can get to a place where I'm at peace with my situation, right? Rather than, I'll only be at peace if my situation changes. That's chasing something, well, Ecclesiastes, that's chasing after the wind often. Because I am where I am. What's going on is what's going on.
We're all unique in God.
Yeah, Daryl?
I was just wondering, going to the next step, so we've identified where we want to go, but how do we get there?
Okay, perfect idea, because I was asking, so let's suggest some ideas. How do we do these? What can we do to quiet our mind, expand our heart, be present in the body? Because hopefully you've noticed, I think these are very biblical things. We've made a few references, but I didn't think, I need to marshal a bunch of scriptures so everyone realizes, this is not some sort of new age, guru stuff and doesn't relate to scripture. I think Jesus would be, when Jesus says, don't worry about tomorrow, it has enough troubles of its own. He's, I think, saying, be present in your body, and here's your body right now. It's in this moment. I would think we could marshal up a bunch of verses and say, okay, this is very much in keeping with the teachings of Jesus. It's kind of a distillation. So, suggestions. And here's where it's not, what's the right answer? Because as Bob said, we're all unique. But sometimes we can benefit from hearing someone else's idea and go, well, maybe that would work for, it's like, maybe that would work for me. I never thought of that. Maybe I'll try that. So
I'm going to propose one. I think this part of what you went through too, 12 steps type of thing, or codependency type of thing, is that too true?
Say that again.
12 steps type of
The
program?
12 steps of
I
codependency.
kind of think there is a template where my first step is actually acknowledging there's an issue. And then we go from there. Of course, there's 12 that we go through. But I mean, I just think that probably is a pretty good way that we should approach life and period, in general.
Yeah.
In that book with Thomas Merton that we're reading on Wednesday, on contemplation, first thing he said was don't think about contemplation as just separating yourself from everybody, getting out alone. You're a person inside others. That I had never heard that. I always just took it as, to get off to be alone.
Right. Right. Like that'll happen if I can push everything away, then I can contemplate.
Get out of these people that are giving me problems. That's not what this is.
No. And again, how realistically can I push everything away? Concerns about tomorrow, which are real. I have concerns, things that are on my radar that I'm aware of. How's that? I can't just wish all that away and be in some sort of pleasant contemplative spot. The question is, can I be contemplative in the midst of life as I'm experiencing it? Rather than if only, I could get rid of problematic people and issues and troubles, then I could be in this
Not
place.
deal with reality.
Yeah, and it's not an escape. It's learning how to deal, well, as AA would say, accept life on life's terms. So one of their big phrases, and they would say, acceptance is the key to everything. Like, so many of our problems are rooted in we can't accept what is. We're fighting what is. It just is. And you can fight it all you want, but you can't will it to be different. You can't make it be different. As soon as you accept it is what it is, kind of like you're saying, the first step. I've got a problem and I'm powerless. I can't fix it.
Christians
Okay.
don't get a free card out of that.
Right. Yeah, Christianity is not a way to have a trouble-free life. It's how to live with the troubles that everyone has in life. Right. Right. Yes.
So, examples that have worked well for me on expanding the heart. Writing laments, like maybe reading Lamentations or reading a psalm of laments or something, and physically writing those down. That has helped me expand my heart. Also, the exercise that I kind of forced upon everybody here.
Would you speak louder?
Oh, yes. Also, the exercise that I sort of forced everybody at DF to participate in, which is the having people speak about their experience. That always expands my heart. And, for me, the quieting the mind, the exercise that helps me is genuinely finding some hours of solitude and just trying to sit in silence, not reading, not writing, not listening to music, just really trying to just sit in solitude. The mind does start to race, and I've often found that it'll wander, and it's pretty quick. It starts to wander, and then if I just use that as an opportunity to come back to where I was with gratitude, like, oh, my mind wandered. Oh, this is one more opportunity to come back. That's been helpful.
So
Those are some practical examples.
in the same vein, so I have this habit of waking up at 3 a.m. with my mind running, the monkey mind running, and I'm sure I'm not alone. I learned a long time ago that I start counting heartbeats, and I know that my mind will continue jump, like you said, it'll wander back to what I was spinning on, and just say, yep, and don't beat yourself up, just go back, start counting heartbeats again, and or breaths, and so it's that same thing where your mind's going to do its thing. When you see that you've mentally wandered, just go back.
Yeah, there is no perfectly quiet mind. that we're called to achieve. It's the ongoing work of quieting the mind, right? So the question is, do I recognize the need for that? Am I engaging that in some sort of practice, some sort of regular way? What helps me to push aside, the tendency to get all caught up? I mean, sometimes for me, it's just, I have a good stern talk with myself. It's like, what are you doing? I just put that aside. I can't do anything about, I just try and get away from where I'm spinning, thinking about all these things, and I can do nothing about it right now. And I almost have to tell myself, stop and choose somewhere else to focus. Something. Jim?
So, and it's back to there's no one way, right? I find if I stop and have a talk to myself, I tend to go negative. It can be a beat up on yourself even kind of thing, like, and Merton in his seed of contemplation, he really goes, you're closest to finding the quiet if you can laugh at yourself. That moment when you go, here I go again.
Yeah.
Without being the down on myself, not the, what are you doing? I mean, here you go. Because that's where I will tend to start going. And I really have found it to be true when, I've forgotten who the person, when it's like when that thought starts jumping the other way, kind of, I think of a river, and this is not my idea, but then you just let that idea that I just jumped to, put it in the river, and just let it float on down. Not actually visualizing the river. And so
Yeah.
I'm not, quit doing that. I'm not talking to myself, because I tend to go to the negative. But it's just a letting it go and flow. It's a slow flow. And then when it comes back and another thought shows in my head, I will almost giggle at myself going, this
Right.
here we go.
Yeah, you can't.
When I get to that point, it's easier then to actually find the quiet.
That's a great point. Can't take it too seriously, or it becomes this vicious circle of, I get more and more frustrated.
Let me follow myself. That's not good.
Yeah, the river idea, I think, is a Buddhist idea. You are the observer of yourself. You're the observer, and you're watching these thoughts and emotions come as things in a river, and you can choose, they would say, to let them float on by. You don't have to well, I'm gonna have to grab that one.
Or change the course of the river.
Right. So, here comes anger. Well, like I say about things like that, those things arrive uninvited. It's not like I said, oh, can you please show up for me today? It shows up uninvited. It, wants to crash the party. But then I could choose to say, well, but it's not me. It's something that has arisen.
I think it's good.
Can I
to
let
know
it just go?
That there's a knowledge that there's good in me and evil in me and in other people.
Yeah. Yeah, both and would be helpful, for sure.
The other people part, for me, there's some tension here, because solitude and self-reflection are key, right, for this. But I've found I have such a tendency to flee pain or to avoid it, even not knowing. I can do this, delude myself for years and not notice something that I'm suffering. And for me, some of it is reflecting with others, like when pillow talk with my wife is one concrete example of this. And it's silly that I even need to remind that, but reminding yourself to listen and to be open and to reflecting with someone else. I think that external perspective is also really key to this. At least for me, it's been helpful. I think sometimes it feels like the 3 a.m. things, it is like God is talking to me and just wakes me up and shows me something I hadn't noticed. That also, I think, is an external reflection. But it's not just, I think you can do this and think you're doing it in my case anyway, I find it tempting to, this could be another way to escape reality, to
Right.
dive into a layer of it that doesn't hurt, or to not confront the reality fully. And sharing with another person, listening to them, someone you trust who has wisdom to offer and understanding, really a helpful anchor.
Yeah. Because we started off, I think Daryl brought up the opposites. Expand the heart because I can constrict the heart as a protective way of not wanting to feel pain and overwhelming sense of suffering that's in the world. And so I can.
It's so easy to do that and not know.
Right. You're not even conscious of it, so it's the intentional, I want to expand, not constrict. I want to quiet because again, the opposite is it's very, very busy. Yeah, cluttered, and be present, and the opposite is being absent. And that's often when I'm in my head about things and I'm forgetting where I actually am, right? You're actually just here, so live in this moment. All right, well, thank you for the thoughts and sharing. I'm going to take a little bit of different kind of tack for today. So, but
Where did you get this list?
It came in an Enneagram email.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
it
that
was-
kind of makes sense then.
Yeah.
That's why I saw the Enneagram in it, because we
It's the-
know when we're out of balance. If we're paying attention.
Right.
We know when we're out of balance on any of those things.
Us nines are pretty good at not noticing.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.